Willing your manifestation to happen with a specific person or anything else that you're trying to manifest versus allowing it to happen is two different things. This very minute detail, in my opinion, is huge and where many of us struggle when it comes to manifesting anything. Emil Quay famously said when he was speaking on autosuggestion, which is just another name for robotic affirming, he famously stated that no matter how much you try to will something with your words, your imagination is always going to triumph over whatever you will. And this is why so many of you guys are suffering, is because you're trying to will your specific person into existence. And your imagination is not believing it. Your imagination is what is going to win every time, according to Emil Quay. And Emil Quay gives the example in his book, and he talks about, as you heard me talk about on my channel and Tim as well, he gives the beam example. He gives the beam. It's easy for you to walk across a 50-foot beam that is on the ground. It's easy for you to walk across that beam with no problem. Now take that 50-foot beam and raise it to skyscraper level and try to walk across that 50-foot beam. Now you can't do it. Why? Because your imaginal scene, the imaginal scene that you have in your head that is playing is, if I make one small mistake, I'm going to fall off of this skyscraper. I'm going to fall in between these two skyscrapers. That is the imaginal scene that you keep replaying over and over and over again in your mind. And that imaginal scene stops you from crossing that beam, even though it's the same beam, it's the same distance, same 50-foot beam that you walked across when you were on the ground. Now, because the distance has changed and that you're higher up in the air, now that your life is on the line, all of these 3D factors that factor in, now your imagination is telling you, if I do this, I'm going to fall. And that's the imaginal scene. No matter how much you try to will yourself and take that first step or those first two, three steps across that beam, you just can't begin to walk it because, again, your imagination is telling you this is so high up. There's nothing underneath me. If I fall, my life is over. So your imagination wins every time. And this is exactly what is going on when you guys are trying to manifest anything in your life, is that you are saying these words, these affirmations, but there is a different image in your mind than what you are affirming. And so your imagination will continue to win instead of your affirmations. Now, again, this is not for everyone. Obviously, as you guys know that have followed my channel, I only say this for the people that it is applicable to. If it's not applicable to you, then disregard everything that I'm saying. But my experience tells me that this, what I'm saying, is applicable to most people in this LOA space. So if it doesn't apply to you, congratulations, you are in the top percentile of top 5, top 10, maybe even less, top 3, top 1% of people that this information doesn't apply to. See, with your affirmations, you are constantly saying, my specific person wants me, my specific person misses me, my specific person adores me. They're texting me right now. My specific person can't live without me. They need me. Meanwhile, your imagination is playing out a totally different scenario of them leaving you, you crying, you visualizing them with the third party, you replaying all of the fights you guys had, you replaying the fact that they're not here. So Emil Quay is right in a sense because he said your imagination will triumph your will every time. So no matter how much you guys try to will those SP affirmations, your imagination is playing a different scene and your imagination is way stronger than whatever you affirm. And this is why, in my opinion, Neville speaks about saying feeling is the secret, because feeling is way more important than the words you speak. Because people can manifest, we can manifest things. We manifest all the time. We manifest based on our feelings. We don't necessarily manifest based on our words. The reason why we can manifest based on our words so much is because of the feeling. We have a unwavering conviction behind what it is that we're saying. And when we have that unwavering conviction, that's when things come into fruition fast that we speak about and we affirm about. But the delay is because there's no synergy. You've often probably heard me in the past in some of my videos speak of the Holy Trinity. Well, to me, a part of the Holy Trinity could be, and I don't mean to sound blasphemous to religious people, but to me, the Holy Trinity, we think of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. But to me, the Holy Trinity could be the thoughts you think, the words you speak, and the feelings you feel. As I said that, I just touched my head, I touched my mouth, and I touched my heart. When there's synergy between those three things, then when you say to the mountain, move, the mountain pretty much has no choice but to move. But a lot of times there is no synergy between the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. There might be synergy between the words you speak and maybe the thought that you're thinking, but there is no feeling. There is no fervent feeling behind the thought that you're thinking. So maybe it won't manifest, you know? So sometimes when I think about these things, and again, this doesn't apply for everybody, and this is not always the case, but sometimes when I think about these things, I think out of the Holy Trinity, there is one of the three that is missing. Either your thoughts are out of alignment, which is your imagination essentially, or either your feelings or your words are out of alignment. You're missing one of those, or you're missing two of those, or you could be missing all three of those. So that's a self assessment you have to take with yourself and ask yourself, do my thoughts and my words and my feelings all align with each other? Is there synergy? Or is there only synergy between what I'm saying and what I'm thinking, but I don't have feeling? Or am I missing out on something else? That's only something you can be honest with yourself and ask yourself. And whatever the answer is, obviously correct it. To me, I believe 100% what Kuwait said, because your imagination to me is the most important, is probably the most powerful thing, because you need your mind, you need to be able to imagine something in order to get the feeling of it. There is no feeling without imagination. So when Neville says feeling is the secret, the first part to manifesting a feeling about anything, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a perfect job, whether it's dream house, the first step to manifesting that feeling, which is the secret that Neville speaks about, is to, you first have to see it. You have to imagine it, which is what Kuwait always speaks of. And this is how those two go hand in hand. Your imagination to me is more important than feeling at first, because imagination is what helps you create the feeling. You can't get the feeling of love if you don't close your eyes and imagine what would love feel like. What would it feel like to have your SP's hand holding your hand, walking through the park on a nice fall day, or on a flight, getting ready to go to a vacation with your SP or your favorite. See, your imagination is what allows you to have the feeling that Neville speaks of. It's not the words. Words return void to us all the time. Words are a bounce check all the time, which is why, to me, a lot of times I never took the time to try to master affirmations. I'm not saying that they don't work great. Again, this depends on the person. Do it if it works for you. But I know for me, I never really cared about mastering affirmations, because I understood that the imagination, thinking, is what even allows me to create words. If I can't think, I can't speak. If I can't think of the next thing to say, then I can't even speak those words. And again, your imagination is what helps you conjure up those words to say, what conjures up those affirmations to say. So if you guys are really picking up what I'm putting down, your imagination is really the cause of this. And I can see why Neville said that God is your imagination, because it really is. Your imagination is really the essence of everything. Your imagination it gives you the words to speak out loud. It gives you the ability to create words that move mountains. It gives you the ability, your imagination gives you that ability. It gives you the ability to feel those feelings real. You literally have nothing if you have your imagination. You literally have nothing if you don't have a brain. If your brain goes, everything in your body goes. You can't do anything. You can't function. So imagination to me is really the most important part that we have to master before we master speaking affirmations. The brain to me could be very well the most important part that we have to master before we can master feeling a particular way. And that feeling is the secret. We can't master the feelings being a secret. We can't master affirmations, in my opinion, until we master our minds. And I personally believe this is why Tim and I see so much movement in our lives, as well as people that are working with us or in our group, whether you are a tier 1 or a tier 2, because when we work with people, we help them look at their blind spots. We help them realize you're not going to get there necessarily by willing. You have to learn how to relax and to allow your imagination to take. When you learn how to control your imagination, when you learn how to control your thoughts, which is why I'm always such a big proponent of revision. I think revision is one of the best techniques. That's one of my favorite techniques for sure because you're controlling your mind. See, people think it's backwards. People think if I start saying something, if I say something a lot, then that's going to change my mind. And it can work that way. But to me, in a sense, that kind of may be working backwards when you keep affirming something, but your mind doesn't believe it, which is what Kuwait talked about earlier, like I mentioned. So why not? Why do it that way when you can do it? When you can fix your mind first, which is your imagination, fix your imagination first, then the words will naturally speak. When you fix your mind first, the right words will naturally speak, which will then cause feeling to come behind those words. But see, people are doing it backwards. They're trying to affirm first to try to convince their mind. And it can work that way again, but from what I see, I don't think it works that way. So I think the diagnosis is to get the imagination, fix that first. Because if you fix the imagination first, if you fix your imaginal scenes, if you fix how you think about things, that will in turn change the way you speak about things and change the way you feel about things. And now the Holy Trinity is born. And that fucking mountain has to move. People get so much movement, and they get questions answered when they work with us. And that is because, from a 3D perspective, I think we do a great job of assessing and how to react in the 3D and how to think about going into 3D. And we take the emphasis off of techniques, not saying we don't do techniques, but sometimes the technique isn't the way to go. Sometimes the technique is causing more harm than good. And so it's really based on each individual situation to determine if a technique should be used or should not be used. That really depends. But I think, like I said, so much movement happens is because we put that emphasis on imagination. We put that emphasis on not really thinking about things in a certain way, thinking about things in the right way, and not really stressing yourself out about, oh, I didn't do this, I feel like I'm failing, that type of stuff. And so Tim likes to use the analogy of you're already okay, being in that flow state. Relax more, try less. That type of approach. And when you try that type of approach, a lot of times great things happen just from relaxing. And I think that's what a lot of you need to do is just simply relax. Not saying you don't got to do a technique, but relax and figure out how you can get your imagination right so that the words you speak will eventually be right and the feelings you feel can be right as well. Stop trying to will stuff into existence. Most likely, it's not going to work because you are off balance. There's no homeostasis, if you will, equilibrium. All of these things are off. Willing stuff into existence almost never works, in my opinion. Again, it can. And shout out to you if you're in that 1% or 5% or whatever the number is of small percentage of people where willing stuff works. Most people, willing doesn't work. Most people don't even know how to will. They think they're willing stuff into existence, but it's really not. You're doing the exact opposite. Trying to will something into existence is exactly what most of you are doing with your SP. Is exactly what most of you are doing with these techniques. You're trying to will something, not realizing you're not allowing it. The very essence of you willing it is making it stay away. Is the reason why it's probably not showing up. And again, this is detailed. This isn't always the case. Got to keep, saying that because I know the trolls will come out just like the freaks come out at night. I know the trolls will come out and say, "Oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. That's not what it means. Oh my god. Oh my god. You're the worst coach ever. Oh my god." So again, it depends. You just gotta look at your situation. You know, no one size fits all. Like I said, this ain't no spandex. These ain't yoga pants. I don't know. I'm sorry. I should have never said that. Sorry to all the ladies out there. I don't know how yoga pants works. I'm sure you guys have sizes. I only said that because it was like spandex. And my initial thought was spandex expands. So maybe yoga pants expands to whatever size. But anyway, y'all know what I mean. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. We don't take stuff personal over on this side. And I expect you to not take nothing personal either. Which, side note, that is a lesson in itself. If you get easily triggered at stuff that people say to you and you let it bother you for the whole day or whole week, or that's another sign that you need to do work on yourself. When you let people get you triggered, especially people that don't know you. So that's a little side salad. Stop allowing yourself to get triggered by stupid shit that don't even matter from people that don't even know you. Politics, whatever the case may be. If you get offended easily, that is a clear sign, once again, that you need to work on yourself. If you have victim mentality, if you're constantly looking for victim mentality stuff like, oh, I'm a victim here, I'm a victim here, that's a clear indication that you need to work on yourself. So getting back to what I was kind of saying, stop trying to will your SP into existence, whether they're old person or a new person. Stop trying to will them into existence and get into that allowing state, that allowing energy, which is all about relaxation, in my opinion. And obviously, I can't go into it all in here. This is something that would have to be done more so in coaching based on your individual situation. But willing, a lot of times, is a lose lose. It's a lose lose because you're not going to get what you want, most likely, or it's going to take a very long time. And you're jeopardizing your mental health because, again, your imagination isn't on the same page with whatever it is that you're speaking. Our imaginations is what causes us to take action. Again, this is why I keep telling you, this is why I said earlier, and why I've said in past videos, our imagination is the most important thing. I mean, you got to think, even blind people, people that can't see, they still have imaginations. They can't see in the physical world, but in their minds, you better believe they can see. And this is what allows them to do so many great things. And see, based on whatever happens in your imagination, this causes you to act out in the 3D. Your imagination is what triggers you to act out in the 3D in a positive way or in a negative way. Which again is why your mind and your eyes are so important because your eyes is what helps you see if you're not blind. But like I said, even if you are blind, you still can see. But this is why it's so important because you want to make sure that your imagination is always causing you to do the right things in the 3D. But what can happen is your imagination can cause you to do the wrong things in the 3D. For instance, your imagination is what causes you to stalk your specific person. That's what causes you to stalk your SP, is your imagination. Because you have no control over it. Because you're thinking, what are they doing right now? Who are they texting? Who are they calling? Your imagination is controlling you. So then that causes you to act out in 3D. That causes you to show up where they're going to be at. That causes you to text them randomly after they told you, don't text me anymore. What's making you do that is your imaginal scenes. Imagination creates reality. Pick up what I'm putting down. Imagination creates reality. You go on Facebook or Instagram and you see your specific person out at a party looking like they're having fun. So what does that imaginal scene cause you to do? Because you don't have control over your imaginal scenes. You don't have control over your feelings. So what does that do when you see that post of them out partying and having fun? That causes you to get dressed and you go out and have fun. That causes you to go out to a bar, get super duper drunk, and to potentially maybe end up getting a DUI, potentially maybe hooking up with somebody that you didn't want to hook up with actually, potentially getting an STD or something even worse happening, getting abused or whatever the case may be. And guess what? None of that would have ever fucking happened if you did not allow your imagination to get so triggered by what you saw from your SP. You would have never felt the type of way. You would have never gotten that car. You would have never got shit-faced drunk. You would have never got back in that car again and got that DUI. You would have never went back to some random guy's house or some random girl's house. You would have never potentially caught an STD. All of that happened because you couldn't control your imagination when you saw your SP having fun. This is why I go back to my premise. Your imagination is everything. This is how your imagination creates reality in the 3D for the worse. And so this is what we work with you on and how to reverse that to help your imagination create for the better in the 3D. But again, it takes time and each situation is based on the individual. Now let me get to my next point. Y'all gonna love this shit. This next point I wanted to talk to you guys about in using these techniques once again in quantum jumping. For instance, quantum jumping to manifest an SP or the phenomenon around quantum jumping. But Marv, is quantum jumping a real thing? If I quantum jump, will I get my person faster? I don't know. You know, quantum jumping is one of those things, to be in my opinion, that people might talk about it, but they really don't understand and get how it works. Even some of the professionals. I had posted a link in the video that I put out a couple of weeks ago talking about this briefly. And there was a guy, Neil deGrasse, I forget his name, how to say his full name, but he basically was questioning now, this whole thing of a bunch of different realities. And he was basically saying, what if we are the last reality? I don't remember how he broke it down in the reel exactly, but you know, I realized that, like I said, even scientists or other these people that are studying this stuff, a lot of times people will read a book and they would just regurgitate the information that they read and they think they know what they're talking about. But have you ever thought about what if the person that wrote the book didn't know what they were actually talking about? They just came up with something and then everybody just ran with it. Now I'm not saying this is true in all areas or aspects of life, but I just think it's funny now that some people are even starting to question this theory of, oh, we got a bunch of realities and now we can, quantum jump or quantum leap. I'm not going to sit here and utterly dismiss it because I think there may be something to it. I just think that it's still a huge gray area that people really don't understand, no matter how much they try to talk about and understand it. And when it comes to quantum jumping for an SP, the thing that I think about is how some of these people, when you talk about manifesting an SP, is not mind control because you are essentially aligning with the different reality in the universe because there's all of these universes out here. So when you manifest the SP back, you're aligning yourself in the reality of where you and that person exist in a relationship. And then I guess somehow you bring that reality into this 3D reality. So you're not actually manipulating them. This is the theory that so many people use. But my rebuttal to this example, and nobody has been able to answer this question yet. And I've made a couple videos on this over the past, I don't know, 2-3 years. I haven't made that many videos, but I've made 2 or 3 videos talking about this. Nobody can answer this question. Nobody can answer this question I'm getting ready to bring up again. With this multiple realities, you are in the reality that you have your SP. My whole thing is this. What does a person do when there are multiple people who want to manifest the same person for a relationship? And the example I used in my past video was I used somebody like Drake. And if you don't like Drake, you can fix it out with anybody famous. You can use Taylor Swift. Shout out all the Swifties out there. You can use whoever celebrity, actor, actresses, because we all know there are multiple people that want and desire those types of men and women who are celebrities, who have fame, who have a ton of money. We know there are multiple people out there waiting for these people to break up. These people are not following the golden rule at all. Do unto others as you have them do unto you. They don't give a fuck about the golden rule. These people will do anything to become Tom Brady's next girlfriend or wife. Hell, Tom Brady's ex-football coach is fucking dating a 20-something-year-old recently. And Tom Brady's old football coach from the Patriots, Bill Belichick, is like in his 70s, I think. However old he is, dating a 20-year-old. This shows you. So again, switch any celebrity, your favorite celebrity, whoever that person is that you get googly eyed for. There are thousands, if not millions of people who want to manifest a relationship with him. Again, back to my original statement on Drake. If Drake has 5 million women, 10 million women in this world that want to manifest a relationship with him, that want to get married to him, my question simply was, who gets him in this physical 3D reality in September 2024? Who gets Drake if millions of women want him? Because only one can get him. Unless he's like back in the days in the Bible and he has like concubines and all of that type of stuff. But even then, those really aren't. They're not the main one, right? And I'm pretty sure and willing to bet that any woman that gets with Drake, they're not gonna want to share him. I'm pretty sure because pretty much any woman that gets with a guy of Drake's caliber, they never want to share him. This is just biology 101. Like women, a lot of times, some will be willing to share a man, but a lot of them are not willing to share a man. They want to keep that man all to themselves, especially when he's like a high caliber man. So again, if there's 5 million men that want to get with Taylor Swift or Beyonce, who gets Tay Tay? Who gets Tay Tay? I know Travis Kelsey got her right now. Shout out to Travis Kelsey. But all 5 million of those men can't get with Taylor Swift. You can't sit here and tell me, well, there's a reality where they are with her, and all they got to do is align with that. No, because in this 3D reality, Taylor Swift can only be with one man. She only wants to be with one man. Same thing with Drake. In this reality, 5 million women. There's no way for Drake to be with 5 million women in this reality. There's no way. So this whole quantum jumping or whatever to manifest the SP is bullshit to me. It's bullshit to me. And if part of it is true, then my whole thing is the person that has the strongest desire or the person that has the strongest will, in a sense, if you want to say that, or the most confidence, all that type of stuff, that's the person that may end up with a Drake or Taylor Swift or whoever it may be. That's the person that may end up with them. The person who has the strongest self-concept about themselves is probably the person that's going to end up with a celebrity. Because let's face it, most people have a very weak self-concept. Even celebrities. Celebrities, you would be surprised. Celebrities are very insecure. A lot of celebrities are very insecure. A lot of people with money. Some of the prettiest people in the world, the most beautiful people in the world, you will realize how insecure they are. They still think they need work done to their body or their face or whatever the case may be. So this whole, oh, I'm going to shift realities and I'm going to line up with the reality with my SP. No, it doesn't work like that. Maybe it can work like that. It can work a little bit faster when there's not multiple people involved. Maybe you have some sort of advantage when there's not millions of people after a person. But this example that I'm giving you, to me, in a sense, proves that, how does this quantum reality, how does this stuff really actually work? Because there may be multiple people after your specific person right now. But my whole thing is who's going to get your specific person? Is it going to be you? Do you have the strongest self-concept out of all of these people that are trying to manifest your SP? Or are there other people that have stronger self-concepts than you that are potentially going to get your SP? See, these are the types of things that I think about. I don't just read some shit in a book and just be like, oh, yep, this guy's right. Oh, yep, Burt Goldman is right. He talked about quantum jumping. Yep, he has it all figured out. Even with Neville, I question everybody. I question myself, I have no problem with people questioning me. Something that I might have said 5 years ago, I might disagree with that now. If I find something that challenged me and I realize like, oh, they got a point, I might change my mind on it. You always got to remain open-minded. You can't be so dogmatic in your views that you get blinded and you lose out and you never grow. I do think the mind is very powerful, however. And when you talk about quantum jumping, when you talk about all of this stuff, like I've said before in my past videos, all of this stuff is done in the mind. You're not actually physically shifting and doing all of this crazy type of stuff, in my opinion. Like it's all done. Quantum jumping is done in the mind. When Burt Goldman talked about quantum jumping, he talked about, going to and what's the guy's name? The guy that wrote Think and Grow Rich. I forget his name right now off the top of my head. Napoleon Hill. He used to have these mastermind meetings with different celebrities or people in power, or whatever the case might have been, in his mind. He took, I forget how he worded it in his book, but he took the top people that he really respected And he would have these mastermind meetings of whoever, presidents or whatever famous person, and he would pretend in his head like he was talking to them. And he said eventually what happened, he realizes that they started to talk back to him. This sounds like somebody that was on shrooms. Nah, I'm just playing, but I mean, again, I'm saying all this to say all of this stuff is done in the mind. And so when Burt Goldman talked about quantum jumping, it was kind of the same thing that Napoleon Hill was talking about. Burt Goldman essentially would say that he would go in his mind and he would basically go to another universe in his head of where he was an artist or where he was a musician. And he would essentially basically bring talents back from that reality to this 3D reality. And then all of a sudden he became really good at doing all of these things, painting, music, whatever it was. He just became really good at a lot of stuff. And he accredited, obviously, quantum jumping to him doing this. But in my opinion, I would say simply all he made was a decision. He made a decision to say, yo, I'm going to be good at this. I'm going to be good at art. I'm going to be good at quantum jump. I'm going to be good at music. I'm going to be good. It didn't have as much as to do with him changing realities, quote unquote, to learn the skill. It just had him making up in his mind, yeah, I'm going to be good at this. I'm going to naturally be good at art. I'm going to naturally be good at, and this is how I've looked at stuff in my life. Like I've never tried to physically, mentally quantum jump anywhere to learn a new skill. I've never done that. But in my own life, I just made decisions and I'm just like, yo, whatever I do, I'm going to be good at it. I don't care what it is. If it's sports, if it's real estate, if it's YouTube or if it's whatever, like I just make up my mind. Like I'm going to be good at it. If I wanted to learn a language right now, I could. And now it would be easy because I'm telling myself it's going to be easy. So again, it's not so much of the quantum jumping to me as it is of just making a decision. Oh yeah, I'm going to be good at these things. I'm going to learn how to draw. But see, Bert accredited it to quantum jumping, and maybe it did help him in a sense. Maybe him doing that, maybe it helped boost his confidence, or he felt like he was getting some sort of power from that. I guess it goes back to the fundamental principle of belief. Maybe his belief was, when I do this, I am going to learn new skill and it's going to be easy and I'm going to learn all these talents from doing it this way. Hey, more power to you. Go for it. But I don't like to look at it that way, especially when it comes to, like I said, this SP stuff. Like quantum jumping, trying to get in alignment with the reality where you and your SP are together. Again, I personally think that that's wasting your time. And I think your imagination should be much better served to changing your imaginal scenes to be healthy, especially when it comes to self-concept. And I think if you work on your imaginal scenes that way, to touch back on what I was talking about in the beginning of this video, I think this is what's going to allow you to help manifest an old specific person back or somebody new. So yeah, all you quantum jumper guys out there, all you Van Zeeland, whatever that guy's name is, that talked about that wrote that book, that long ass book, reality transurfing. Nobody has ever been able to answer the $1 million question. Who gets Drake? If thousands, if not millions of people want him, who gets Drake? Who gets Taylor Swift? Who gets whoever the celebrity is? I'm curious to know your thoughts. Start a discussion in the comments below. Because I personally think it's a death trap trying to quantum jump or do stuff like that to align yourself with an SP. I just think that there are so many more better ways to go about manifesting an SP that are healthier, in my opinion. Again, everything is opinion based, everything is subjective in this world. And I'm not saying my way is the law, because I don't believe my way is the law. But what I'm telling you is from my experience, I think people get a hell of a lot better results when they do things the way that I talk about it, the way that Tim goes about it. And I know because of my own life and people in our group and other things like that, people that we work with, people getting experience. And again, if you don't do the work, if you choose to not do something that we tell you, then that's on you. All right, nobody's gonna put a gun to your head and say, "Oh, did you do it the right way? Did you do it? Did you listen to Tim? Did you listen to Marv? Did you do it this way?" Nobody's gonna do that. Nobody's gonna hold you accountable like that. So if you don't see results, on a faster time frame, but you haven't been following the protocol, then again, that's on you. And also, let me say this as well. I'm not saying you can't manifest something with a famous person. I'm not saying you can't manifest contact or manifest a relationship with a famous person. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that the probability is extremely low and it's not going to work for most people. And do you really think your time could be better served doing something different than to sit around affirming all day Drake's madly in love with me, Drake texts me, Drake wants me, Drake loves me, or Taylor loves me, Taylor Swift is obsessed with me, Taylor Swift wants me. This is no different than your SP. You can manifest, in my opinion, you can manifest your SP back way faster in a healthier way potentially instead of saying those types of affirmations that most people say, oh, they're texting me right now. They can't stop thinking about me. To me, this is not the way to go about it because you're still making them more important than you're making yourself. And to me, that kind of energy, it repels, it doesn't attract. Because again, it goes back to my earlier statement and how I started this video. When you say those types of affirmations, your imagination is not in sync with that. So you're saying those affirmations, but your imagination is thinking the total opposite. And so what keeps manifesting is the total opposite.